Welcome to the Plant Trainers Podcast, where we're helping people improve their quality of life through nutrition and fitness. And now, your hosts, nutrition and wellness coaches, international speakers, Adam and Shoshana Chaim.
Hey, I'm Adam Chaim.
And I'm Shoshana Chaim, and we are
Propelled by Plants. Today we bring to you episode 324, Zero Waste with the fairly local vegan Amber Allen.
In this episode of the Plant Trainers Podcast, we talk to Amber Allen, better known as the Fairly Local Vegan. She's a mother of three, a zero waste activist, YouTuber, author, and speaker. So when you think about what does a zero waste activist mean, it means that she's someone who is really passionate about sustainability, that she wants to make sure that there is as little waste as possible going out into the world. She's very into gentle parenting, gardening, and living a healthy plant-based lifestyle, and really helping the world, people around her, and everybody grow. She lives in Windsor, Ontario with her children, husband, and she has a rescue dog, and you can definitely find out more about her life on her YouTube channel.
During this episode, you're going to pick up so many ways to minimize your waste in your life. You'll get to hear great ideas on simple methods to use to help our planet. And some of them might seem pretty extreme, including her bathroom renovations, but some of them are much more doable, and you're going to have to find something that you could do to make this planet a better place. So whatever you could do to reduce your footprint is one step in the right direction. Don't think you need to hit everything we talk about today at once, or maybe even ever. So listen to the episode, enjoy it, and share it out with anyone who has some room in their life to reduce a little bit of waste. Finding the right toque to keep your head warm with comfort and spreading the plant-based message isn't such a simple task. That's why we decided to put together a fantastic toque made from 100% organic cotton that does the job. Grab one of our plant power toques and enjoy comfort while supporting and spreading the message of eating more plants. Check it out at planttrainers.com/shop to get yours now. And now for a moment of gratitude.
We just spent this last weekend in Montreal with our family celebrating a new year. It was the Jewish New Year. We call that Rosh Hashanah. And I'm grateful to have a new year that's not January 1st. And what I actually realized is that we never need an excuse to start brand new, fresh. Every minute, every second is an opportunity to go ahead and change things and make things better in your life. So I'm grateful for that opportunity to start new.
I'm also grateful for the weekend and being able to hang out with family, really, and the people that we hold closest to us. And as our parents and grandparents get older, it's always more gratitude that we need to show when we get to spend time with them. So I'm super grateful to be able to spend time with them because every minute is super valuable and important.
Amber Allen, thank you so much for joining us on the Plant Trainers Podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're excited to talk, and I was saying to Adam that, of course, we always have our little painting and little shelves behind us, and I told you when you first came on, I expected you to have nothing behind you, and there you are with nothing behind you.
Nothing in here at all.
The biggest minimalist I know, and I love it, and it's so inspiring. So I'm grateful for you,
Thank you so much.
Rubbing off on me. Do you have a moment of gratitude that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yes, actually, I want to thank both of you for exposing so many people to veganism and having such influential people on your podcast, because I think that it makes a difference to people, and I think it makes a difference in this world. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate that a lot. So you were just telling us off the air that you were doing some camping years and years ago, and people are like, oh, it's going to be impossible to camp vegan. So how long have you been vegan or plant-based, and what kind of got you on that journey?
I went vegan in the winter in the middle of nowhere when I was 17. And that was back in like 2006. And so it was really interesting going vegan. I discovered veganism by going online. I was vegetarian before that. I've been a vegetarian since I was 12 years old. And what made me go vegetarian was living in the middle of nowhere, living in the country. I would be out in the wilderness. I would find birds with broken wings and I would tape them back together, nurse them back to health and let them go. And so being that close to animals really made me want to not eat my friends. I really just genuinely didn't want to eat my friends and fellow beings. And when I discovered veganism online, it just made sense to me. I was like, where has this been? How come I didn't know about this? And so just like immediately overnight, I went vegan. And I went vegan not knowing what I was going to do about groceries or what my parents were going to buy me or how to negotiate all that. But I went vegan overnight and 13 years now.
Wow, that's great. You know, I wish I would have known that. I found a little birdie a few weeks ago that I think had fallen out of the nest, out of the tree. And I did my very best to try to save it. And
it's hard. It's really, really hard.
I really it's a first, I'm admitting it. I'm admitting it here. I haven't even told anybody. Like, it died and I felt so bad and I didn't know who to reach out to. So now I know if another birdie falls to come to you.
Well, these days I like to call the Humane Society and I like to call any rescue bird organizations. So there should be always one in proximity to your area. So always Google it and check out any I think they're called aviaries or sanctuaries for birds. They're really, really cool. And they'll nurse birds back to health. And usually they will let them go.
Good to know.
So things are a little bit different now than they were back in 2006 as far as finding vegan options, going grocery shopping. There's a lot more available right now and a lot more out there online for people to really interact with and learn about. How did you get by in 2006? I mean, that wasn't ancient ago, but it's still 13 years we're talking, and things have really changed dramatically. So what kind of challenges did you face going vegan overnight?
Oh, well, so living in the middle of nowhere didn't help. So when I was able, within 6 months, I had moved to a major city. I moved to Montreal from the country, and I was able to find more vegan options there. But still, I remember walking down the aisles in the grocery store and just being amazed by how much soy milk there was. And there was like 2 options for soy milk. And now it's like whenever I go into a grocery store, it always reminds me of walking down an aisle and not having so much available. Like now there's so many brands and so many companies and so many different plant-based milks available. You couldn't find oat milk. I think the soy milk was the only thing that I could find. And I did struggle for a bit. I would buy soy milk and I could only find them in tiny little lunch cartons with straws. So I would drink that and I would get blocks of tofu, and there was only so much tofu that they would stock. So they were always out of it. So it was really interesting. And I ate a lot of beans and I ate a lot of lentils, and there weren't things like quinoa or things that people were really into then. So rice and beans and quinoa, well, not quinoa, but any rice noodles I could find and things like that. So it was a struggle then to be vegan, maybe a little bit, but I didn't think of it as a struggle at the time because I would just be like, look at how much I have. But looking back, I could see how it would be difficult for someone to go vegan. Now it's so easy to walk into a grocery store and you have so many options. So there's no reason not to.
It seems like you're wired for no waste, because a lot of people say, I used to have a huge amount and now I have nothing. But it seems like your brain went from, okay, I have nothing, what can I attain? So your little bit just seemed like a lot to you. That mindset is so different than what we see from other people today.
Yes, I try to be happy with what I have, I guess. I appreciate really small things in life. I'll appreciate small cups of tea, and I find a lot of gratitude. We were talking about gratitude. I find a lot of gratitude in just small little things. And this took time to develop. I have to admit, I developed it, gratitude for small things and seeing things as not as little as they appear to be, because I was in an abusive relationship. And when I left with nothing. And I had to live very, very simply. I struggled for a long time, and I lived under the poverty line with my daughter. And I started to appreciate very small things because that's what I had. And that's where that stems from. I really, really just appreciate small things, and small things make me happy.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. So you talk about your daughter. You have 3 children.
Yes, they do.
Let's talk a little bit about having children vegan from the womb and how your pregnancy was and how you felt and all of that.
Oh my goodness. So yes, all 3 of my children have been vegan pregnancies, vegan from the womb, just really good pregnancies, like no complaints. I never had any like very serious things happen while pregnant, which was really good. So no complications there, just really healthy. I didn't gain, like I would gain enough weight for my pregnancies, and within, I'd say maybe I'm a lucky person, but I always lost the weight quickly. So I've always been able to come back down to my pre-baby weight very quickly. And all my children have been very big, chubby vegan babies. And right now I have a 13-month-old, and she weighs 30 pounds. She is such a big vegan baby. And yeah, they're just such healthy kids. It's so easy to raise your children vegan. We do baby-led weaning. So it's very easy to show them what I'm eating and give them the exact same things that I'm eating. So no special baby vegan food. It's just everything that I'm eating.
Was there ever a concern about what other people thought about what you were doing? People saying to you, you know, I don't know if you're doing the right thing raising your kids vegan like that. They're not going to get the proper nutrition. They're not going to grow up properly. Was there any of that kind of feedback coming your way?
Yeah, definitely. Especially from a few doctors. You always have to, I find you have to shop around for your family doctor, especially when you're vegan. You need someone who's at least a little bit open-minded about it. And I remember going to one doctor, and she weighed my son, Indy, and he was like maybe 6 months old at the time. She weighed him, she measured him, and was like, oh, wow, he's in the 90th percentile in this, and he's in the 90th percentile for that. And she said, oh, he's amazing. He's like so healthy. And she's like, okay, so when are you going to transition him to dairy? And I said, well, I'm still breastfeeding and I don't have any plans to stop. So I'm not really worried about that right now. And she's like, okay, but when do you plan to introduce it? Because you should introduce it because of allergies. And I said, well, we'll probably introduce like, pea protein milk or, oat milk or almond milk or cashew or coconut or something. And she immediately, I remember this so vividly because it was such an interesting experience for me. She was a very young doctor too. She was like the same age we were, my husband and I. And so it was very interesting. And she looked at me and she was just like, a vegan diet is very unhealthy. Did you hear about the vegan baby in Europe who died because his parents gave him soy milk and stuff? And I looked at her and I was like, first off, our baby is very healthy. You just said so. He's fine. And our other child is also vegan. So, and she's fine. You just said so. So it was very, very interesting because she was trying to strike fear in us and get us onto her side. And she continued to say a bunch of things. And then I went home and I pulled up the article that she had been referring to, and I found it based off some of the things she said. And it turned out that the parents of this baby weren't vegan and that the baby wasn't being raised vegan at all. And that the milk she had referred to was actually a formula, and they had omitted a ton of different things from this baby's diet. And so had nothing to do with veganism. And I did something that a lot of people won't do. I contacted the clinic about the doctor, and I wrote to them and I said, the doctor told us this. This is the article she referred to, and I no longer want her to be my doctor, and I think you guys should be aware that she said this to us. And so we did change doctors, and the clinic did apologize to us for her behavior, and she no longer works at the clinic now. So it was that was kind of sad and not something that I wanted to happen. I didn't want to get anyone dismissed from a clinic. But I think that doctors should be educated in this day and age about plant-based diets, and properly educated, and not getting their, I guess, ideas about vegan children off the Daily Mail in Europe.
That's what I say. Like a lot of people say to me, oh, but my doctor said this. And I'm like, with all due respect to your doctor, he hasn't been trained in nutrition. And many doctors who don't seek out the information on their own get their information from CNN like everybody else. right? Like they're just
Exactly.
learning it in the news, and some of it is ignorance and some of it is the way that they're taught. And, sometimes it's their fault, sometimes it's not, but it's changing. It's changing and it's definitely good. But
Yeah, it's changing.
yeah, I think it's important for our listeners to hear you talk about how healthy your children are. And a lot of people do bring up that article. So I think that the listeners are really going to get a lot out of that and be able to share this clip or this whole podcast episode with somebody who is considering a vegan diet or is going to come. A lot of people say, I ate fish while I was pregnant because my doctor said I had to. So I think that what you had to say is so powerful. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I just want to also state that we have an awesome family doctor now who appreciates that we're vegan and is just like so happy that we have this chunky, 13-month-old who weighs 30 pounds. Like just, she's so healthy. And it's like kind of a vegan poster child, like she just looks like so healthy and she's so chunky and she's anyway. So we have a very nice vegan, I don't know, open-minded doctor now. So it's all good.
That
they
is good.
do exist. They are there.
They definitely do. Your daughter is gorgeous. I saw her at the Sustainable Block Party here in Toronto in June. So like totally adorable. And that's when I saw you talk about, zero waste and no garbage. And I heard you tell your story about, I think, what was it, where you just bored and you emptied the garbage can out? Tell us how you got into that.
Okay, so I've been minimalist for quite a while. And after downsizing our house, I got a little bit bored, and you start thinking about other ways you can minimalize things in your life. And I started thinking about our trash. And so in the summer of 2015, I dumped our entire kitchen garbage bag on the kitchen floor and did a trash audit. And a trash audit is when you go through everything and you're like, okay, how can, I bought this and this has been dumped in my garbage bag, but how can I do better than this? So I found things like recycling that should have been put in the recycling, but we didn't because we were really lazy. And there was wrappers. There was a lot of Costco packaging because Costco, I don't know, I have this thing about Costco. I think they can do better with their packaging. And so there was Costco packaging and there was a ton of plastic and stuff. And it made me really think about how we could do better with our recycling, how we could do better with what we were throwing out, and try to buy things that weren't wrapped in plastic. Instead of buying the plastic covered, cucumbers you find at the grocery store, get the ones that are loose and don't have the plastic on them. So it really made me think about things. And so I guess my zero low waste journey started then in 2015. And now we do the coveted mason jar thing where we put our trash in mason jars and label them. But that said, we're not always perfect. We're real people. So sometimes I embrace imperfection. If 1 week we're really good and then something happens and we're not as perfect, oh well, but most of the time we have a good handle on things.
And how does this fit with your vegan journey?
Okay. So my vegan journey is about doing the least amount of harm while I am living it on this planet. I don't want to actively hurt anything. I don't want to buy into hurting beings or, destruction and things like that. So I pay special attention to what I'm buying. And so being low waste or zero waste goes in with that because I want to hurt the earth the least amount as possible, basically, while I'm here and walking around. So creating the least amount of trash just makes sense to me. It goes along with veganism because in veganism, you don't want to hurt anyone. And it's the same with low waste. I don't want to hurt our Mother Earth.
So for those people who are saying, yeah, I'm on a vegan journey, I'm on a plant-based journey, I'm becoming more compassionate towards the world, I can see where you're going with that. Now explain to them what this mason jar thing is so that if they want to do it, they can do it too.
Oh my goodness. You don't have to strive to put all your trash into a mason jar. You can do things in baby steps. And I do admit that my family and I are a little bit extreme. We are very, very extreme with some things. So don't try to aim for a mason jar, aim for baby steps. Do a trash audit where you go through your trash say, okay, I'm going to reduce the amount of trash involved with takeout or the amount of trash involved with my bathroom. I'm not going to get things in plastic shampoo bottles anymore. I'm going to go to my bulk store and fill up with like liquid shampoo or buy shampoo bars. So doing little things like even taking your cloth bag with you grocery shopping is a baby step you can do. You shouldn't aim for zero waste overall. Aim to be low waste and do things that are doable for you and your budget and your life.
So what you're saying is my big garbage bag that I have in my kitchen under my sink, you don't have that every week when the garbage comes. You've got a mason jar filled with garbage and that's your quota.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that lasts sometimes for years or months. We don't put out trash. We actually have to pay for a compost service because our city doesn't have one. So we pay to have 4 big bins of compost a week picked up because we can't have compost in our backyard because our city also has rats, or I would have one in my backyard. So we get our compost picked up, and that is basically the main thing we put out that's wasteful. So we put out like citrus rinds and watermelon rinds and things like that because there's only so much I can do with the kitchen scraps and kitchen waste. I can use it to a point, but then there's just too much of it for a family of 5. So we compost. I basically put anything that I find on the floor while sweeping in the mason jar. And that's what I put. Cut up credit cards go in the mason jar, and dust off our floor and things like that. That's what I put in our mason jar. Anything that can't be recycled. And I just want to add here that we strive to not buy anything in plastic because plastic cannot be recycled indefinitely. Only metal cans, so metal cans that don't have a plastic lining, so BPA-free cans, and glass. Glass can be recycled infinitely. So we buy things in cans once in a while, not very often, but we buy things in glass jars, and I actually reuse the glass jars. So we reuse as much things as possible. And when I buy things, let's say online from a zero waste store, and it comes in a cardboard box, I reuse that cardboard box. So the kids like draw with it, or we make paper from it, or I use it to ship things myself, or I use it to pack things in. So we try to strive to reuse everything. And yeah, that's one of the ways we create less waste.
There's so much more great information coming your way, but before we get to that, calling all chefs out there. Well, people who need to cook to be able to eat.
We're always getting emails and DMs asking us what to do and what to make. Well, just the other night we were at a friend's house who must have had 45 cookbooks. Now, the problem with that is not the hundreds of dollars that she spent on the cookbooks, but the hundreds of dollars that's going to get wasted on buying ingredients that are going to go unused because she'll only use a little bit for this and a little bit for that.
Our e-cookbook, Easy Recipes for Busy Parents, isn't like that. Actually, it's not just for parents, it's for any person who needs to cook and eat, who doesn't want to throw away half the unused ingredients in 6 months' time once they expire or were never used. So this amazing recipe book will not cost you only $7.99. It will save you hundreds of dollars by reusing ingredients and millions of seconds you would have wasted wondering what's for dinner.
And of course, you could purchase multiple copies to give as gifts. So find it now at planttrainers.com/shop or click Easy Recipes for Busy Parents in the show notes. And now back to the show. Adam's been really quiet.
I can't. It's like one mason jar of all the garbage, and I'm thinking like we have so much garbage that I feel bad now.
Just do a trash audit. It's baby steps. This is not a goal. This should never be anyone's goal. Everyone has their own idea of the least amount of waste for their family. And some things involving like budget, your location, your geographical location, things like that do matter. So the least amount of trash possible, like my version of it, might not be doable for you. So I want to make that clear. It's like different for everyone.
So I think that in a lot of ways, we do a lot of good things. I have the bags for the produce, I actually have like the ones that I could use over and over again. I'm not saying I use them every time, but I try to use them as much as I can when I bring them. So I've invested in that to be able to do that. But I love the idea of bringing my own containers and filling up my shampoo. And I think that's a step that I can take going forward, is finding somewhere in my area where I can do that and doing that. I'd also like to find a place. We don't live downtown. We're in the suburbs. So it might make some strategic planning, like when we go downtown, we can go to this, because I feel like it's more of a downtowny kind of thing. But to be able to buy our rice and our quinoa and our beans and bring our own bags or bring our own mason jars and fill that. So I know that exists. I'm not sure what stores in our area will allow you to bring your own bags or mason jars, because they need to weigh it. So it needs to be a store that allows that, right?
Yeah, exactly. But most stores do that now and will allow that. And all the bulk barns across Canada allow it. Oh. So bulk barns in Canada allow it. And they're all, you get, even right now, as of the making of this podcast, they're doing a 25% off thing. So they have coupons all the time for the people who bring in their jars and bags and reuse them. They're really into it now.
I'm going later.
Yeah, so that's great. Let's do that. This whole,
you mean that?
I don't know, this whole minimalist thing and zero waste thing is very fascinating, and I know it's become very trendy to become minimalist, especially millennials are really into it. And I look at your wall behind you and it's empty, and I look at our wall behind us and it's got things on shelves and things that need to be cleaned, and there's a lot of stuff that we have. And then I think about our closet and all the clothing that we have that we don't even wear. And I'm wondering, like, what do you do for clothing? Like, do you buy new clothing? Do you buy only used clothing? How does that work for you?
So 95% of what is in our home is secondhand. And the majority of my clothing, I'd say 99% of it is used clothing. But that 1% there, I reserve for, I do buy new vegan shoes. I do, because it takes a long time for me to wear them out. And so I only shop at, I guess, sustainable, ethical, vegan companies for my shoes, because they're really hard to find vegan shoes secondhand in stores. So I can't find those secondhand most of the time. So I do buy my shoes vegan.
What about underwear?
Yeah, secondhand. Or I do buy from sometimes, occasionally, once I did buy some underwear from a sustainable small business that makes bamboo underwear, because that bamboo is very sustainable. It just grows and grows and grows. So that's one of the best sources of fiber or natural fibers.
So is this a cost-saving method? Like, are you doing this to save money by buying secondhand? Are you doing it because you don't want the materials to be, you don't want to be wasting material? That's why you're doing it, because you don't want the wasted materials and buying new all the time, and you want to, I see.
Well, yes and no. Yes and no, I'd have to say. So I grew up shopping in church basements because that's what my parents could afford. And so when I went to college and was off on my own, I could only afford to shop at Salvation Armies and Value Villages and stuff. And so it kind of just continued into adulthood, and it makes it a bit more financially easy to get really nice stuff for my kids and for myself. And now it just makes sense environmentally speaking, because that clothing is already made. And to buy new clothing, you are taking from the earth's resources. So you are paying a company to take more from our earth. And by buying used, you are creating a reusable process, I guess.
And just because it's used doesn't mean that it's not beautiful and in great condition. Like, you could find tons of great used clothes. It's not like you're going to a garage sale where you're buying somebody's rags, right? There's great.
I find stuff all the time at Value Village that has new tags on it. I just went I think I went Thursday night, because I go ever so often. And I found 2 dresses for my kids, and they both were new with tags. So someone had paid $65 for each of these dresses. So $130 of dresses. And I got them for $5 each. So we consume so much in our society as a culture. It's sad, we're very materialistic. So we just want to buy new and new and new and get more and more and more, especially for our kids. We're always like wanting to spoil our children and get more for them. And I do spoil my kids, but I do it by buying used clothing.
So talk about used. We're going through a bathroom renovation right now. You're going through a bathroom renovation right now. Unfortunately, I'm sad to admit it's very different in terms of the materials, but tell us a little bit about what you're going through. You're actually renovating it sustainably.
Yes, so we are renovating our bathroom. We started in March and now it's September. So I ripped up the floors of the bathroom in March and it's September. And I have to say that the progress is very slow. The floors are still ripped up. The walls are ripped down at this point, but finding things. So I'm trying to do in the lowest amount of waste possible. So I'm not going to Home Depot and buying everything I can find at Home Depot. Instead, I'm going to Habitat for Humanity. I'm going to Value Village. I'm checking out the Secondhand Facebook Marketplace. I'm going on Kijiji.ca and stuff, trying to find things that are secondhand from people's renovations. So if they renovated their bathroom and have an excess of tile, I'm buying it if there's enough for my bathroom. So I had to map out the square feet of the bathroom. We're trying to find like secondhand tiles that'll look good all together because we basically ripped out a bathtub and we're going to do a walk-in shower. And so I need like 3 different types of tile for the main bathroom floor, tile for the bottom of the shower, and tile for the walls of the shower. So we did find tile for all those things, but it took us months and we only just finished finding all that tile. And then we have to find everything else. So finding everything is a challenge to find secondhand. It's difficult and it has taken so much time and so many months to find everything, but we haven't created a lot of waste while doing that. But it is an effort. We still don't have our second bathroom.
I'll send you a picture of our vanity. You'll tell me if you want it. And if you want it, come pick it up.
So it's kind of cool. We found a vessel sink for our bathroom and I paid, I think I paid $60 for it. And it is a $500 vessel sink. Wow. And it came with a spout, like it came with, the person who had it basically ripped out the cabinet, ripped out the vessel sink, ripped out, I guess, the spout and I'm blanking here, the turny things.
the handles,
cold
the
and
faucets?
hot water taps. The taps and stuff. And so it was the wrong color. And so we are sanding down the taps and the everything that goes along with the sink to make it silver. So we're basically taking the metal coating off it. So we do really, really weird things. And that's not only to be low waste, but it's also to be as frugal as possible. We like saving as much money as possible.
It's quite the project.
It is a project. I'll definitely send you pictures later of our bathroom if there's anything that you want. And if we can salvage it, then you're more than welcome.
Thank you so much
to have it. So I'm assuming you also do cloth diapers for your children. Or are doing?
Yes, still doing cloth diapers. And we bought all our cloth diapers secondhand. So everything for all their cloth diapers for secondhand. People are a little squeamish about it because they're like, no, not my kid, not in a secondhand cloth diaper. But really it's just the same, like you just wash it and it's good to go. It's like any other clothing. You just wash it really well, but it's still good to go after you wash it.
And what if you need a new pair of headphones, other things that might go in your ear that might seem really ooey to other people? Is that something that you'd buy new?
No. We buy absolutely everything we can secondhand. And if we do have to buy something new, it's because it's like something we can't find secondhand. But we have bought headphones secondhand, laptops secondhand, all my equipment that I use on my YouTube channel for filming, I have bought secondhand. I bought this microphone secondhand. All our clothing is mostly like 99% bought secondhand. Even paint. We buy paint secondhand. My kids' art supplies, I will buy secondhand. You know, it's so easy to buy secondhand. There's not much that we buy new, really. The only thing, okay, sorry. There is one thing that I will buy new. I will buy, and people are always like, why would you buy that new? But I will buy new, this is kind of goes along with the low waste thing. I will buy silicone cups for my period new. That's what I will buy new. I won't buy those secondhand. And I know some people are like, well, you can just boil the silicone cups in water and it's fine. But I personally will only buy those new.
If there's anything to buy new, I'd say that's the thing.
Yes, exactly.
Well, once you go new with once you go used underwear, I guess.
No, we're not going to go there on the show, but it's a whole other thing. It's a whole other thing.
It's just like any other clothing, you know? So just wash it. It's all good. And you can find underwear new with tags. I find them new with tags all the time.
You must get a new toothbrush though, right?
We've been using the same electronic toothbrushes for probably the last, 7-8 years. We haven't moved over to bamboo toothbrushes because they keep going. And so it's kind of like counterproductive or counterintuitive to like, be like, I'm going to release this into like the dumps if it's still working. So we're going to wear those into the ground. So we have new toothbrushes. Yes. But actually they're not completely new. I did buy those secondhand in box, but they were new in box. I bought them secondhand because people don't know what they buy. And then they just
donate
put them up as secondhand.
Yeah. And talk to us about BYOTP.
Oh, people are going to think this is weird. Okay. So we, as a family, to be as low waste as possible, you're going to be shocked by this. I can see your face already. To be as low waste as possible, we do not buy toilet paper, and we haven't bought toilet paper in 3 years. It is like going on the 3rd year. What I do buy are receiving blankets or cloth, and I cut it up into squares of like 5 by 5, so 5 inches by 5 inches, and we will wash the TP after we use it and then reuse it. And so we've been using the same cloth toilet paper for the past 3 years.
That's cool.
So, but when she has people over, they are invited to bring their own toilet paper.
You have to
bring your own toilet paper. Yeah. Got it. BYOTP.
Exactly. Like my mother visited recently from BC, and she brought her toilet paper, and we did get some toilet paper for her, but it was recycled toilet paper. But I just really don't like buying it. And this is my reasoning for it. You are literally spending money on something that you are throwing out immediately. It has one use and that's it. You're flushing it down your toilet. I know people think I'm a crazy person when I talk about it, but I can't get behind something so disposable.
There's so much there. Flush it down the toilet, get behind something. I love it.
And I want to add, as Canadians, our forests are being cut down at a rapid rate. Like, it is a problem in Canada, and they are being cut down for toilet paper. That is it. And I really, environmentally speaking, can't get behind the destruction of Canadian forests for toilet paper. Like, so many more other uses for trees, like the air we breathe.
Yeah, I'd put that on a pedestal for sure.
Well, the truth is that if you're eating a healthy vegan lifestyle diet, the poop that's coming out is pretty easy, and the amount of wiping that you usually need to do is super minimal, if anything at all.
I could totally get away with no toilet paper half the time.
Yeah. Like,
good for you guys.
It's
minimal
pretty cool.
Toilet paper usage.
That's right.
Yeah. I just need, and it drives me crazy when my kids will take one blow of the Kleenex and then throw it out and take another Kleenex and throw it out. So we're constantly like reinforcing like handkerchiefs, or like my grandmother will use the same Kleenex for like a week. Right?
Oh, wow. That's awesome though. But yeah, we use handkerchiefs. So I send my kids to, like, my daughter is in grade 2 and she's in school, and I send her with handkerchiefs. She uses handkerchiefs. There is a zero waste or low waste equivalent for almost everything. And we're a little bit extreme with our toilet paper and not using it, but it makes sense. And we save so much money.
I totally think that all of the listeners will at least find one way to minimalize something in their lives, a little bit less waste in their lives. And if not immediately, their brain and their subconscious, I'm sure, has been spoken to today, and they'll be more aware. So, there's a big jump from where most people are today to where you are. But if anybody could just change one thing in their life, like maybe bring your own, instead of using those little plastic bags when you go and choose your green beans, buy the reusable ones, those kind of things. I hope everybody starts somewhere, and maybe what they can do is they can tag us on social media when they do it and be like, hey, look what I did. So why don't you tell people where they can find you?
You can find me on YouTube at The Fairly Local Vegan and on Instagram at The Fairly Local Vegan. And that's my main stuff.
Amber, this is pretty impressive stuff. I mean, I know that to you, it's super simple. It's very minimal. It's easy to do because you've been doing it for a long time. For me, listening to a lot of this, it's like, okay, now where do I start? Because there's so much room for improvement, and we're always looking to improve whatever we're doing. So thanks for sharing this with us and with our listeners. I'm sure that we're all going to find ways now to waste a little less, and just
waste a little less and gain a little more.
Yeah, well, that's what it is.
It's about baby steps. Just try to do something with what you have. So don't try to be as extreme as possible. Start with baby steps. Start with what you can budget for. Start with what makes sense to you and your own life. Don't try to compare yourself to other people. Just start really small.
All right. So thank you so much for being on the Plant Trainers podcast today. We really appreciate it. We hope everybody goes to check you out at The Fairly Local Vegan. And what's up next for you? What do you have going on?
I am writing a book currently about how to be more low waste, and it is very accessible for everyone, even if you're just starting out. It's great for beginners. It is also great for people who are more into low waste and want more ideas on how to become even more extreme. So I talk a lot about that in the book, and I pretty much am putting my entire soul and my passion for low waste into this book. And so hopefully, I'm in the editing stages right now. It should be out before December. So wow. I will announce it on my social media before December.
Will it be available in paper?
No,
Didn't think
only ebooks, because I try to be as minimal and as zero waste as possible. So even if a book comes out and it's made out of recycled paper, I really have to hold true and stay with my, morals and ethics, and it's going to be ebook format.
Very cool.
Amazing.
So we'll share out all your links at planttrainers.com, and people will find you, and we look forward to checking out that book. Thanks so much, Amber, for being here today on the Plant Trainers podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you all so much for listening to this edition of the Plant Trainers podcast. We want to make sure that you subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platform.
We really appreciate the feedback we receive from you. Every time we get a 5-star rating or review on iTunes from one of our fans, it really helps other people find us just like you did.
Thanks so much to our patrons. To become a patron, visit us at patreon.com/planttrainers. Even supporting us with $1 really makes a difference in the quality of the show.
And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram and Twitter. Our handle is @PlantTrainers. Like Plant Trainers on Facebook, join our newsletter, and check out our website at planttrainers.com for awesome recipes, a list of our services, and of course, our latest podcast.
We encourage you to email your questions to info@planttrainers.com so that we can help you improve your quality of life through nutrition and fitness.
So we hope we've inspired you today. Join us again next time, and have a healthy day. Or is that too corny?
It's a little cheesy.